Compass FM. With me in studio, we have Senior Constable Tony Moore from the Waimakariri Police, and also our Area Commander Inspector Peter Cooper is with me. Area Commander Inspector Peter Cooper shortly will be talking to us about gang activity in the Canterbury area. He is largely involved in all parts of Canterbury outside Christchurch City. It'll be interesting. Looking forward to having a chat to Peter shortly. But in the meantime, what do we call it, Tony? It's the bread and butter or something, isn't it?
News and weather,
News
John.
and weather, that's it. The
news and weather. So, quite a good forecast at the moment. So we've had a few copper thefts, mainly targeting new builds, that kind of thing. So
this isn't theft of police people, is it?
No. It's so we had one dwelling under construction up in the Oxford area where they lost downpipe spouting, the hot water system off the wall, that kind of thing. So these are quite vulnerable places where there's not a lot of natural guardians. So we're just asking people if they're out and about, just keep an eye out, and if they do see something that doesn't quite look right, then call 111 at the time, because we just need to be there, respond as soon as we can. But and also if you've got unattended dwellings that may look like nobody's living there, then make sure someone is keeping a bit of an eye out, because we've had some hot water cylinders targeted as well recently, so potentially the same offenders. So just asking people to be vigilant around those places.
Okay, obviously there's quite a bit of dough involved with the old copper at the moment, and copper scrap is worth a bit, so it's being targeted.
Yep. So no, that's just one thing really for people to be aware of. Volume crime wise, it's been quite good over the last 7 days, so we're very pleased with that. However, if you're looking at the roads, still a lot of work to do there, John. Particularly around distractions, so your cell phone use, that kind of thing, and also intersections. There's a very poor compliance with our intersections, particularly around stop signs. We're still finding people are just driving through stop signs, particularly on the left-hand turn as well. So just a reminder: stop means stop. That's all wheels stopped. Look left, look right, look left again, and then if it's clear, you're free to go. But we need to pick our game up a little bit on that.
Alrighty. Senior Constable Tony Moore, thank you. And we now have a round of applause for Tony from Peter Cooper here in studio. Peter, a very good morning to you, Area Commander Inspector Peter Cooper. And Peter, we're looking today in particular at, is it a gang problem here in Canterbury? Is it gang warfare? Or let's try and get a bit of perspective around it.
Thank you. Maureen, a hard act to follow, Tony. He does a very good job with us, so I'll do my best. Just before I talk about that, I just want to emphasise some of the things that Tony did talk about there, particularly our roads. Traditionally, we've blamed our tourist population for a lot of our issues on our roads, and unfortunately, we've just come through one of the worst Christmas, New Year holiday periods for fatalities and crashes on our roads we've had for a long time. And in an environment we don't have tourism, so we only have ourselves to blame for that. So I pick on Tony's comments around that. That is something all New Zealanders really need to have a think about.
Good point. Good point, Peter. Yeah.
So gang-wise, that's come to note very much with our shooting in Kaipoi, making the front pages and being lead story on the network news for a period there. I just thought it was a good time to come along and put some perspective around that. The people of North Canterbury are no more a threat from gang warfare, as you call it, than they ever have been. It's just simply a fact that as we've had great growth in the Waimak, Selwyn, and into the Hurnu, into our rural communities, not all that growth brings positive change. So we have a lot of different people living in our environment that we never used to have. And these kind of things that are very much internally focused happen, unfortunately, but the people of North Canterbury, particularly around Kaipoi, are still safe, and we still live in one of the safest areas in New Zealand.
Okay, and as you say, internally focused, meaning that it's within the gangs themselves, it's not actually affecting Joe public.
I think if you talk to gang members, sometimes it's just a part of doing business for them. Unfortunately, the drug trade in New Zealand is something that they certainly have a large part to play in. And unfortunately, things like what we've witnessed over Christmas, New Year is not the kind of environment we want in our rural communities. But unfortunately, that is a fact of, as I say, greater growth brings different people into our environment.
So it's a case, I guess, Peter, of maybe one gang getting a bigger chunk of the market, as it were, and and that, like all business, it creates competition, and that creates, sometimes, greed, and therefore the sort of warfare we're seeing. Who are these newer gangs? Where are they coming from? It seems to me we've got just about every gang under the sun represented in Canterbury now.
We do. We have a good spattering of all of New Zealand's gang quantities here. So we're looking at ex-Australian gang members now setting up in Canterbury. So we have the Mongols, the tribesmen, the rebels, mongrel mob. The list is quite wide. They have found a home in all of the community, not just in the bigger centres anymore. So when we look at our small towns of Rangiora, Kaipoi particularly, they're not small towns anymore, and we have all sorts of people here. The specifics of why they're at war, that's I won't speak to that, and I just want to really say that the Joe Public and Joanne Public are not any more in danger here than they have been in the past. It's simply a fact of life in the changing environment of Canterbury, unfortunately.
So there's not a gang member under every rock?
No, and that's often what happens, is that we start to see it everywhere, and they are more prevalent and they are more obvious, and it's unfortunately a fact of New Zealand life. As most police members would love to say, find another way for a young New Zealander to find that self-esteem and that confidence in themselves and not join a gang to start with would be our goal.
Yeah. A lot of the gang members to me look as if they're pretty well heeled, they're riding very, very flash motorcycles and driving very nice cars and that sort of thing, and yet probably many of them are unemployed. It doesn't quite stack up, does it?
I'll leave the guessing of what that might mean to everyone, but look, I just do ask this of the public here. It is okay not to accept gang members in our community. It is okay to make it more difficult to set up here, but it's a free country and they are entitled to their viewpoints, unfortunately, from our point of view. And let's just be clear, not all gang members are criminals, but there is that in front.
Yeah. Social media, Peter, just a little bit around that in terms of misinformation and social media. I know around the Kaiapoi murder recently just went ballistic, didn't it?
Yeah, social media is difficult for us. It's a place where people often talk about crime, and unfortunately, and Tony would certainly back this up, they don't always report that crime to us. They talk about it on social media and make lots of comments. We don't, as a rule, comment on social media. It's a place we stay away from, and we deal with what is reported to us. So we would encourage people who are having issues, be it as small as that copper theft. Every crime is important to actually report it to us through the right channel. Okay.
Thank you very much for popping in, guys. And for members of the public listening now, if anyone has concerns around gang activity in Canterbury, if indeed they notice anything that looks suspicious, it's a 10-5 situation, or pop into your nearest police station, have a chat.
Sounds good to me.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so the eyes and ears of the public can be very helpful, of course. And Senior Constable Tony Moore with us, as he always is on a Tuesday morning, but today Area Commander Inspector Peter Cooper as well. And this is Compass FM.